Hey everyone, I am coming online today to talk about loss. I just experienced some grief with a friend who's going through a really hard time in their life right now. And on my drive home, I just really was compelled to reflect on my experience in 2020 when I lost my father, and really the last 4+ years of that experience, and what's helped me process that loss of someone that's so important to me. And I thought that maybe that story could help other people out there who may be going through that or have gone through that and are still dealing with it or are about to go through it. Um, like many of my videos, I do not have a complete script. I think of a couple of words and then I just get going and I try to just put it out there. So this might be an emotional stumbling one, but that's what I need right now, and I think that's what other people might need. So I think I want to talk about the day that I lost my dad, which was August 8th of 2020. It's the day before his birthday, and it was a wild surprise to get a call from my older brother in the afternoon, early afternoon, kind of just in a stumbling stammer of words, just saying that that dad was dead. And like I remember, like a dry, like a just going into an immediate sweat and just gathering up things in my house. Like I got to get to Granville. I got to go home. I got to see my family. I don't know what's going on. And that drive was like one of the hardest moments of my life because I I had to be the messenger to a lot of my family. So I had to call my sister and my mother and my uncles and my family. I just kept calling people and giving them the bad news over and over and over again. And it was like, some people were mad at me. Some people were in disbelief. They didn't know what was going on. I didn't have all the information. And I remember going home and people were there. My mom was there. My brother, some of my extended family was already there, and the police were there because my dad died in his bed, and seemingly for no reason at the time. It was basically under investigation, which meant that when you walk into your own house that you grew up in, that you've always felt safe in, all of a sudden it's not your house and you're not allowed to do what you want to do. You have to listen to these random cops that are in your house telling you you can't even see your own father. And I just remember how angry I was and how defiant I was, kind of like I've always been with authority. And I was able to talk them into letting me in the room. And I remember, going to hold his hand, which is something that I did with my grandfather many times in the hospital, and it was always my way of telling where my grandfather's life force was. If he would squeeze my hand and hurt me, I knew he was still going. And I remember that last time he squeezed my hand and there was no pain, and I kind of knew it was that was it, and he died that day. And I went to do that with my dad, I guess thinking, is there any life force there? And it was just cold and hard, and it was nothing. There was no energy left, and it had been that way for a while. And I'm trying to feel these feelings, and my grandma's there and my parents are there, or my mom is there. Obviously my dad's there too in some form, and the cops. And I remember just losing it. I remember losing my, just like completely letting out, screaming and crying, because for so much of my life I wanted to be a father. I wanted to have children, and I wanted those children to know my dad. And in this crazy moment, it was gone. That opportunity was gone. And I was in so much pain. I remember the the days that followed were these days of like meeting with my sister and my two brothers, and talking about his estate, and talking about the funeral, and talking about what we wanted and what he would have wanted. And I remember just like kind of casting away myself in name of being the strong man in the house, and being the leader that the family needed, or at least the leader I think the family needed. And I think that was supposed to be me. I don't really know if what that's what the family needed, or if that was just some kind of egoic projection. But I remember making all these really tough decisions, and there was a really dark energy going around in our family, dividing us. And I remember trying my damnedest to keep us all together in the name of him, in the name of this celebration of life. And I remember when we got to the day of the funeral, I knew I was going to give a speech, and I knew that there was going to be a lot of people there that I may never see again. A lot of people that were in his life over his lifetime, over his nearly 64 years. And I remember when I went up to the podium, I just stood up there in silence, and I looked every single person in the eyes, trying to feel their love for him, and remember that moment, and hold that moment like as a sacred moment. And I can still go back there and feel that space in those people's eyes, and that love. And I remember being so afraid of the next day, of the after that, like when he died, it was like, well, we have something to work towards. That's all about him. It's all about his story and sharing his life with everyone that loved him. But after that, what is after that? What is life without your father, without your parent? Like, what comes next? And I was so afraid of who I was going to be without him. And that, like, was I enough? And why was I doing what I was doing? Why was I in construction? It was him. And why was I successful? It was him. It's how I felt. And I remember the weeks that were past that, the months, the 2 months. I remember realizing I was not fit for work. I was in the midst of a divorce. I was in such a dark place. And I remember like reaching out to his friends and other men in my life, I think seemingly trying to replace him or find someone that could like give me that familiar energy that he gave me. And it was so hollow, and it was so not him. And it was a dark, dark time in my life. Truly the most depressing moment of my life. Those the dark winter of 2020. I battled with alcohol and marijuana and depression and addiction and isolation and suicidal thoughts. In the following year, going into 2021, as things started to shift in my mind, as I started to change and become closer what people know me as today, what allowed me to do that around my father was realizing that physically he was gone. His body is not of this earth anymore. He's not walking among us. But forever he will be part of this universe, part of this, the energy of me, of my sister, of her kids, of my brothers, my mother, of his friends, of his community, of my company. Like energetically, that man, Harold George Compton II, will forever be walking this earth through me, through the work that I do. And that it's a privilege and an honor to share that light that he gave me, the love that he gave me. And when I share that with people that know him, they reflect it back. They go, "Yes, you're doing that, you know. I see that in you." And sometimes I don't even share it, and I receive that love from his brothers. I've had his brothers weep in my arms saying, "You're so much like him." And I realize now, this August will be 5 years, half a decade without my father. I realize now, like, that energy is a forever energy, that I can go back to him. I can hear him. I can feel him. I can remember him. And it might not be physical, and I might grieve, and I might be in pain, and I might miss him so dearly and want him to be in this season of my life. God, do I want him to experience how happy I am and how in love I am with life and the people that I'm around and how magical everything is right now. I wish that I could have him here being a part of that physically. But all of those things that I'm experiencing, he has given me. And he is experiencing them energetically in this universe in spirit form or in heaven, whatever you want to call it. Like, I could feel that connection to him. And he is so proud of me, and he is so happy with me, and he's so enjoying seeing who I am now and who I can become. It's it's truly special to honor your loved ones that aren't on this earth anymore. It's truly an honor to do that. It's one of the greatest gifts we could give to them, is to honor them through our actions and our love. And it's not easy to get here. I want anyone that's going through anything right now, that's grieving, has lost someone for whatever reason, to know that it's okay to go through any kind of emotion you need to go through. And that sometimes there's those nights, days, weeks, months where you can't do anything but grieve, and you can't be your best self, and you can't love, and you can't feel. And that's okay. It's okay to just survive. But I'm here to tell you I'm living proof that on the other side of that could be the best version of yourself. If you just honor that love and that energy that your loved one carried, those memories that they provided you. It's okay to be happy and in love. And moving on doesn't have to mean we're forgetting. It can just be the next step of sharing their love in some other form. I have an old photo. This is the oldest photo of my dad. See if I can get that shining there. I'm sharing this photo because it makes me just think about like what it's like at the beginning when you make a baby and you're bringing in new life, you're bringing in new energy into the world. And in return, you're sharing all the things that you've learned and been given from your family, from your parents before you. All those aspirations, all those desires of, am I going to be a good parent? Am I going to raise a good kid? On the other side of it, yeah, Dad, you raised a good kid. You're a good parent. For all your flaws, you showed genuine love and compassion for every living soul. You loved watching thunderstorms roll in. The scarier they were, the calmer you were. You loved serving your community. You loved being a granddad. You were so consistent with that. You loved seeing me succeed. You were so proud of me. Something that I'll never forget about is how you looked at me at the end of your life, how much love you had for me. I want to not losing anything when someone dies. You're gaining. You're gaining a lot. You're gaining this energy from them. And it's a privilege to carry it on. Bring in all the love that they give you and share it with the world. That's what they would have wanted for you. That's what the world needs. That's what your community needs. Share your love and your passion and your creativity and your talent. Let your wings out and fly high. Thank you all for watching my video. I love you all.